And welcome back to the program, everyone. Great to have you here on Eat, Drink, Explore Radio's Market Fresh. I am your host, Randall White, and this segment of the Market Fresh Hour was recorded this week in Austin, Texas, as I attended the South by Southwest Eco Convention. I got to tell you, just lots of great topics here, discussions, and some of the biggest minds when it comes to foods, agriculture, and how to be more sustainable are giving presentations here, and it's just really eye-opening. I just came from a one session, and we'll hear from one of the people that was on that panel a little later in the show, somebody who managed a store you may have heard of called Trader Joe's for some 15-plus years, I believe, is now working to take food that expires and but is still perfectly good, changing how we think about that food and turning it into meals for people that right now are food insecure. So that is coming up later in the show. But for this segment, this is where we typically feature a local chef. And so we have with us today someone who will be speaking at the event, Chef Tim Shaw. He is with the International Culinary Center. They have a campus in New York, but they also have a campus right here in our listening area in Campbell in the South Bay. And I just found out, talking to him just prior to this segment, that they source some of their food from the Salinas Valley, one of their sustainable programs, which I just think is fantastic as well. And it's a pleasure to be speaking with Chef Shaw here today. Welcome to the program.
Thank you very much.
Nice to meet you as well, Chef Tim. Do you go as Chef Tim or Chef Shaw?
Chef Tim is great, yeah.
Okay, great. And so we also just were sharing how both of us have now use cheater glasses for reading.
Yeah, well, I'll put mine on. Why not?
So
now.
I got to read the script here, and so I needed to be able to see. But so Chef Tim, one of the aspects of what you teach other chefs there in Campbell is how to be more sustainable. And how do you go about doing that today?
Well, the main way that we have designed a program, we have a farm-to-table program, is to get the students out of the four walls of the kitchen. The whole idea is to, while chefs talk about sustainability, they talk about organics, they talk about eating local and all that stuff, they're just kind of words until you actually get out and see what that means. So what we've done is design a program that fits within the 6-month culinary program that they do, that all students do, where we take them to a couple different farms. They see like a nice, small, little organic farm, because when you think farm to table, you think, it's so quaint, and you're going to meet the farmer, and, the farmer's wife makes the cheese, and the kids are milking the cows and stuff. But there are large farms, and there are large organic farms. So we take them to see like a nice, small little farm that's actually kind of an incubator called ALBA, Agricultural and Land-Based Training Association in Salinas, where it's just 90 acres, and people usually who are mostly previous migrant workers or were part-time pickers who want to have their own business will go to this, basically a school. You take classes, and they show you how to start a business. So usually starting with maybe just 2 or 3 rows in an acre. They show you how to get the all the regulations involved with how to get organic certification. Because what a lot of people don't know is that to get organic certification takes a lot of money. It takes a lot of time. So a lot of times when you go to farmers markets, you might not be buying from somewhere that's like quote unquote organic, but they might be organic in terms of what you think about organic.
Pesticide free and
exactly. Those are pesticides free, no added fertilizers, although you can use some fertilizers, but there's a whole layer of regulation in terms of what that term organic means. And most people just think organic good, conventional bad, and it's not that black and white. So what we do is we take the students to see a nice small farm, and then they go see actually quite a large farm that's several thousand acres, that's also organic, and yet it's being picked by these huge combines, that are run by gas. So when you think organic, you don't think that there's going to be all these sort of petrochemical inputs, but there very well may be. And we try to approach it from not a judgmental point of like this is good and this is bad, more just of a way of saying, what do these terms mean, and how can we take the terms from just being terms and actually something real, something real. And we take them to the Monterey Bay Aquarium, where they learn all about the Seafood Watch program, which is just awesome.
We love that program. We focus on it a lot.
Yeah, it's fantastic, and the teacher there is wonderful. And we go to the Monterey abalone farm, where you go under the docks, and the owner just picked up an abalone and sliced it up and handed it out. Didn't pound it, do anything. It was like alive, and then suddenly it's lunch. So it's just a way to make a lot of the concepts in terms of farm to table, organics, this and that, to make them real rather than just a term that they learn. Because particularly in sustainability itself is not a word that's become as sort of watered down as organics has yet. But a lot of people just kind of throw it around and never really define what it actually means. So what we're trying to do is get the students to actually even know what questions to ask. When someone says it's sustainable or local, what do they mean by that? Because you could mean lots of different things by using those terms.
And so that is the ingredient portion of the equation, where the chefs are sourcing their ingredients.
Sourcing, yep. So they know if they're putting the term sustainable, organic, or something on the menu, what that means. Are
there sustainable aspects following that point, like when it comes to the cooking aspect? And then I just came from this great talk on food waste. We know restaurants and food. I managed restaurants for years.
Yep, it's a big issue. And fortunately, we have a really good composting program at our school where we, from day one, we try to get them to separate the compost because, it's a cooking school. You have a lot of waste, particularly the first couple of days when people are learning how to cut and, they're cutting their fingers along with the onions and stuff. A lot of that's got to go into the compost. So we try to train them to get into the habit of saving the compost. But after they've done this whole program, the first 4 months of the program, and then this week-long, basically a field trip where they go to all of these farms and processing plants and the aquarium and stuff. They spend 2 months actually working in a restaurant, and they can choose to work in a more, a farm-to-table or sustainable restaurant or whatever. But that's sort of up to them in terms of where they want to work. But along the way, we show the movies that everyone should see. Fresh and the Food Inc. and stuff like that, and recommend some readings, of course, by Michael Pollan and all that.
He's fantastic.
Oh, it's just brilliant. One of the leaders of the field. But it's So it's a way to get these concepts and actually turn it into a reality.
What a great resource to have the International Culinary Center, correct, in Campbell, based originally in New York. But now expanding, because California is sort of a ground zero for a lot of that.
It's the breadbasket of the country, and when they were thinking of expanding, that was one of the big ideas. Of course, when they said we have this opportunity to open a school there, we've got to take advantage of this, because it would be ridiculous to not, because you're in the, you've got food 12 months out of the year. It's constant. In New York, it's like, you have to import your tomatoes from thousands of miles away in January because they're not growing. I mean, here we've got to get them from Mexico or Arizona in the middle of the winter, but it's still much less food miles than you would in New York. And and we're looking for ways to expand this concept, the whole farm to table concept, because we're right in the center. It's there's so much going on, so much really just amazing product 12 months out of the year.
What's the website?
InternationalCulinaryCenter.com. Yes.
People can get more information that way. And we talked a little bit off camera. There are some plans on the horizon for a restaurant, so people listening can kind of look for that?
No, there's a restaurant in New York City. There's a restaurant in New York City here. Rather than working in a restaurant, the students actually go out and work in other restaurants. Yes. Yeah. So we don't have a restaurant here in Campbell.
Chef Tim Shaw with the International Culinary Center. I look forward to hearing you talk at...
Yeah, it should be exciting, yeah.
And I really appreciate having you on the show. We'll have to do this again.
Absolutely. Anytime.
All right, you're listening to Eat, Drink, Explore Radio's Market Fresh. I am your host, Randall White.